Hey YouTube, welcome back. Donnie here. In my last video, I mentioned a preview of the National. And no, there's not a typo on your screen. I'm not talking about the National that's coming to Cleveland later this month. I'm talking about the National that takes place in Nashville, Tennessee 3 times a year. This year, the Nashville National will have over 600 tables. There'll be plenty of modern cards there, a little bit of memorabilia, and a fair assortment of vintage as well, including some pre-war. I always look forward to going to the Nashville National, especially this year since I had to cancel my Strongsville trip earlier in the year. So today I'm going to go over some logistics for those of you who might want to attend the show as well. And then I'll go over my game plan, including how much I have to spend and the cards I'm targeting for the show. So let's just jump right into this Nashville, Tennessee National preview. The National is held in Nashville's fairgrounds, about a minute or so from downtown. It's technically, the address is Wingrove Street, but you can also use Smith Avenue if you're using GPS to get there. But typically, I go in off of Wedgwood Avenue and park there, catty corner across from the fairground facility. But you can also enter on Walsh Road, and then there's some covered parking there behind the pavilion area that's good too. You can park there. Parking is $10 per car per day, so just be aware of that. If you get there very early, sometimes you can get in before the parking attendants show up and they don't say anything. Here's a layout of the National show floor. You come in at the very top right corner there where it says show entrance. You come in, and for those of you looking for vintage dealers, if you take a hard right and go up to the very top row there on the screen, that's usually where some of the best vintage dealers have been in the past few shows for this show. You'll find some pre-war, a lot of golden age vintage dealers up there. And then there'll be vintage dealers scattered throughout the rest of the show floor too, especially on some of the end cap areas there where you see kind of rectangular areas where dealers have a lot of tables. But anyway, I always start there at the top when I get the show because that's usually pretty good picking for a vintage selection. Now, in terms of admission, the Nashville National is very affordable. It's only $5 per adult per day. Kids 10 and under are free. There's a 3-day pass that gets you in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for only $10. And then on Friday, you can purchase a VIP pass for $25. The VIP pass gets you in 2 hours early. Normally, the show opens at noon on Friday, but with the VIP pass, you get in at 10 a.m. The last several big Nashville National shows I've been to, I've done the VIP pass on Friday. I think it's very worthwhile. You get in, be able to scope out the entire show floor without all the crowds. Occasionally find some good deals and look over showcases and stuff before they're picked over. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing this year again. Now I'm bringing $1,500 with me to the show, which is, I'd say, at least 50%, maybe even double the most I've ever brought to a show before. I know a lot of people bring a lot more than that to shows, but this is a pretty big budget for me this time around. So I have a lot of cards on my game plan that I'll show in just a minute. Some of those are some bigger cards, but also a lot of smaller cards too, so we'll just see how everything plays out. Here's the overview of my 2024 National game plan. First up is I'd like to buy a major Hall of Fame rookie card, and I'll show you a list of the top 4 that I'm targeting here in just a minute. The key here is that I want the card to have a very high eye appeal for the grade. I'm not necessarily looking for high grade cards, but I do want the card to look really nice for the grade it has. Second, looking for a Mickey Mantle card. The last several shows I've picked up a Mantle card of some kind, so I like to keep that going. I don't think I'm going to be picking up anything super expensive for Mickey Mantle this time, but I do have some in the list here that you'll see in just a minute that are nice cards. I haven't done very much with my T206 set lately, and so I'd like to pick up a Hall of Famer. There are a couple big Hall of Famers on my target list for this time around. Alternately, I'd like to pick up an off-back that I need for my back run. Next up is I'm working on my 1965 Topps baseball set. I'm almost done with it. I have 8 cards to go. So any of those 8 cards would be on the list. Next up, I have player runs going for both Lou Brock and Richie Ashburn. So there's a handful of cards I need for each of those players. And I'll be looking for those this Friday when I attend the National as well. And then finally, Denny McLain, pitcher from the 60s and 70s, is going to be on site signing autographs, and I do have his 1965 Topps card that's part of my 65 Topps set, so I plan to bring that and have him autograph that, maybe inscribe it with a couple of his accolades at the show as well. So there you have it. There's my game plan, top level view of it, and now let's get into some of the details. Here are the top 4 rookie cards I'm targeting for this year's July National. First, the 1948 Bowman Yogi Berra. The values down there at the bottom you see are based on recent comps that I pulled from eBay and 130 Point. You can see they range from about $550 or so up to about $1,100 for that card, depending on the grade. I don't know how many Yogi Berra rookie cards will be at the National this year. I'm sure there'll be some, but typically it's not a card that I've seen a whole lot there. But nevertheless, I am a Yogi Berra fan. Recently watched the documentary on him, which is great. If you haven't seen it, recommend you go see that. You can rent it on Amazon, I think Netflix, online. But anyway, that's the first option for the vintage rookie card. Second one is Ernie Banks' rookie card, 1954 Topps. This is my number 1 target. This card I would most like out of the 4 shown here. I have looked for this card at least 2 or 3 other times at the Nashville Nationals. I haven't had much luck. They've either been way out of my price range, being a higher grade, or a lower grade, or just not very good eye appeal. And so I've struggled finding one that has, good enough eye appeal for the grade and the price for my collection. You can see here they range from about $500 up to $1,500 between grades of 2 and 4. So I've got to decide if I do find one there, is it the right one? If not, do I hold off on spending money at the National and bring that money back and then go on eBay and try to win an auction, or put in an offer for a buy it now listing on eBay perhaps? I've looked at eBay. There's a lot of these for sale right now. Pretty much every grade you could possibly hope for. Things I'm really looking for in this Ernie Banks rookie card is nice centering, especially on top. I don't want the name or the logo cut off at the top. Good surface, so none of the snowing that's pretty common on these cards. And then hopefully decent left to right centering as well. Corners aren't as much of an issue for me on this card, but the others are pretty important. So we'll see if I can find that this year. Next up is the 55 Topps Roberto Clemente rookie card. I need this for my 55 Topps set. It's obviously the biggest card in that set. There'll be plenty of these at the show, I believe. I've seen them quite often before. Unfortunately, for the price range that I have, or that I can afford, I can only get probably a PSA 1 or maybe a 2, and that'll pretty much eat up my entire budget for the show. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll use that as my backup or not. At some point I'd like to have a little bit nicer one, but the rest of my 55 Topps set is a very low grade set, so it would fit in if I got a 1 or 2 in it. So we'll see. And last is the 1968 Topps Nolan Ryan rookie card. Pretty much every baseball card collector that's about my age that grew up in the 80s wanted this card in their collection at some point. Every time the Beckett price guide came in the mail every month, this Nolan Ryan rookie card was one of the first ones where we always go and check out what the value was. So for the budget I have for this Nashville National, I can easily swing an SGC 3, maybe a 4, maybe even a 5. Above that, it might get outside my price range. So this is definitely an option if I can't find the Ernie Banks. In fact, I probably think this is my second biggest want beyond the Ernie Banks. So this is likely my number 2 target. But we'll see. Again, if I can't find one there that is a good price for high eye appeal for the condition or the grade, I'm sure there's lots of these on eBay and other sale sites that I can pick one up offline if I needed to. It's just a matter of holding back some of my cash to do those deals after the show if I can't find one of these at the show. Now onto the mantles. The last several shows I've tried to pick up one Mickey Mantle card at each show. The last one I got was the 58 Topps Mantle All-Star, and the time before that I picked up the 66 Mantle base card. Also pick up dual player cards with the Mantle on it from time to time, as well as checklists and other things, kind of low-hanging fruit. So for this week's Nashville National, I have 4 Mantle targets that I came up with. At first I was looking at maybe the 53 Bowman Color Mantle or the 53 Topps Mantle, which I really love. The 53 Topps Mantle probably just out of my price range for right now, but it's definitely a card that I want to get someday, as is the 53 Bowman Color, but again, it's a little pricey. So I think I have 4 here that are relatively affordable in terms of Mantle cards, and ones that I really like. Starting with 1957 Topps, the Mantle Berra dual player card. So these can be had in mid grades between $150 and say $400. I think that's a very cool looking card. Has 2 of my favorite players from my childhood. Not that I was around when Mantle and Berra were actually playing, but definitely growing up I heard a lot about them. And so I love both those players. Next up is the 58 Topps Mantle and Hank Aaron dual player card. Again, probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous, dual player Mantle card there is. Again, in mid grades from say a 3 to a 5, they can be had for around $150 to $400 or $500. So it's very doable to pick up one of those. I've seen both those cards, the 57 Topps and the 58 Topps, at the show before. So we'll see if I can find one that's reasonably priced with good eye appeal. Next up is 1960 Topps Mantle base card. I am working on the 60 Topps set, and the Mantle's obviously the most expensive card in that set. So I think that would be a good option for me. It is the priciest of the 4 on the screen right now, but it is one I need for my set, and it's a great looking Mantle card. So this one probably run me minimum $500 up to maybe $1,000 or so, depending on the grade. I've been trying to work on the 60 set in very good, excellent condition or better. So we'll see what comes about there. And the last one is a 67 Topps Mantle. I've loved this card for a long time, wanted it for a very long time. Never really pulled the trigger, although I've come close a few times. I just love the blue background behind Mantle's face there. This one can be had between $200 and say $500 or $600, depending on the grade and mid grades. So I'm thinking, $300, $400, something like that is probably a reasonable budget for this 67 Topps Mantle. So if I can't find any of the other 3 with the right eye appeal, right condition, right price, I'm pretty confident I can find a 67 Mantle at the show. And if I leave with that, be perfectly happy for the mantle card for the day. So see what happens this Friday when I head to the show. But those are my 4 mantle targets. Next up are the T206s I'm targeting for the Nashville National. This show has some pre-war cards, not an extensive amount. I have bought some raw as well as a few graded T206s at the Nashville shows in the past. So we'll see what is up for offer this time around. But as far as what I'm targeting goes, I do have a couple of holes in my back collection that I think could be reasonable targets for the show. One is the American Beauty 350 back with no frame, and the other is the Piedmont 460 with the factory 42 back. Either one of those could be had for $200-$300 probably, depending on the player and the condition and so forth. And those would fill 2 holes in my back collection. So those are definitely options. I would really like to get a Christy Mathewson, either the dark cap or the white cap. I think the dark cap is the more common variant, but I'm not sure about that. But anyway, Christy Mathewson card could be had for around $1,000, depending on the condition. So that's an option. Tris Speaker's also been on my want list for a very long time. That's his rookie card in the T206 set. So again, somewhere between a $500 and $1,000 card, depending on the condition and so forth, for the Tris Speaker. And lastly, Rube Waddell, the portrait card in particular. There is an action shot of him in the T206 set as well. I'm not all that big on that card. It's just a faraway shot. It's not very attractive in my opinion. I do like most of the other action shots in the T206 set, but the Rube Waddell shot's not that great. But the portrait is fantastic, and so if I could find that in an affordable copy with good eye appeal, either raw or graded, that would be fine. So we'll see. More than likely, I won't find any of these with the right combination of condition and price that I would like. So I may end up picking up just some random T206s if I come across them that I need, particularly polar bear backs or any other, kind of mid-tier backs like Sovereign, Old Mill, that kind of thing. So we'll just have to see. There will be some other pre-war at the show. There are some occasional Ramleys and Gaudis, very few turkey reds, but on occasion you see 1 or 2. Just a few old Judges, Mayo cut plugs, things like that as well. So maybe something like that will catch my eye when I'm there in person. But for right now, I'll try to stick to T206s and try to work on that monster set that I have going. Then there's 1965 Topps Baseball. I started this set several years ago. My dad bought me 100 cards and a lot at a card show we attended when I was getting an autograph of a player. They were very low-grade cards, probably nothing better than very good condition cards, and I've upgraded those over the years. Then, of course, I bought my 65 Mantle as the first Hall of Famer from this set, so I got the biggie out of the way early on when I was probably 13 years old. But anyway, so I'm down to 8 cards. The Hank Aaron, Pete Rose, Willie Mays, Sandy Koufax, Richie Allen, Phil Niekro, the Steve Carlton rookie, and the Tony Perez rookie. I found these cards plenty of times in ungraded condition at the show, but usually it's hard to find them in at least excellent mint condition ungraded. Of course, there's graded copies there at the show, but since the entire rest of the set is ungraded, it's a binder set, I'd like to keep all the cards ungraded, just to be consistent for the set. And I don't really like buying a graded card and having to crack it out. So finding these in at least excellent mint, ungraded condition can be a bit of a challenge, but it is doable. I did pick a couple at the last show that were really nice, that didn't cost too much, so we'll see what I can find. But if I can get at least one, maybe the Steve Carlton rookie, maybe 1 or 2 others, and get me down to where I need 5 remaining, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to finish the set by the end of 2024, and so it's definitely within range of finishing this year if I just keep making a little bit of progress at a time. So hopefully Friday proves fruitful, and I can pick up a couple of these 65s that I need for my set. The next group of cards I'm targeting are cards I need for my Lou Brock player run. Most of these are fairly inexpensive, so I'll be opportunistic as I go through the national show, as I go through bargain bins, dollar boxes, things like that, and I find ones that I need from this list. I'll probably pick them up as I go. The only one that's maybe a little bit more expensive is a 63 with that blue border on the bottom that can be condition sensitive. Maybe the 64 as well, but for the most part these are very affordable, and so I can pick up most of them for not very many dollars. In fact, I could probably pick up all of the 1970s ones I still need for $75, say. So it should be pretty doable to pick up quite a few of these at the show. So we'll see how that goes. And then once I get done with the Topps portion of his player run, I'll also be working on oddball cards of his. So if I happen to come across any oddball cards of Lou Brock at the show that are affordable, I may pick those up as well. Just wait and see. I'm also working on a Richie Ashburn player run, and these are the next cards I would like to get for that player run. I wanted the 1950 Bowman for a very long time. That one can be a little pricey in high grades, but in mid or low grades it's very affordable. So I'd really like to find one of those and pick up that at the Nashville National this Friday. I think at very minimum I can find the 57 Topps. That's a very affordable Richie Ashburn card. I almost bought one the last show, and there was some condition flaw that I found in the card I was getting ready to buy that I backed out on it in that deal. But should be able to find that one, probably the 50 Bowman. I'm not sure if I'll see any of the Burke Ross or the Red Hearts there, or the 51 Topps Blueback. If I do, I'll definitely take a closer look at those. I would like to get at least one of these, maybe two of them, if I can afford them at this show. So we'll see. But that player run is coming along pretty nicely. And like you see, I'm collecting not just the common Topps and Bowman cards, but also some of the oddball cards like the Burke Rosses and Red Hearts for this player run. So it's one I've been doing for quite a while, ever since I got Richie Ashburn to autograph a card for me back when I was a kid. And so this is one that's on very high priority list for me for Friday's National in Nashville. And lastly, I plan to get Denny McLain to autograph his rookie card when I go to the Nashville show this Friday. Denny's a regular attender at these Nashville shows. He's often at the every other weekend ones at Lighthouse Private School, and he's been at some of these bigger national shows in Nashville as well. I can't remember how much he charges for his autograph. I want to say it's like $10 or $15, probably a little bit more if you want some of the inscriptions and stuff added. But I already have his rookie card in my 65 Topps set, so I figured I'd take that out and take it with me and pay him to get it signed and inscribed with some of his accolades. He was a great pitcher in his day, had some personal problems there after he finished his career and stuff, but still I think it's worthwhile to get his autograph. So I'll be trying to do that while I'm there, in between looking for all the other cards that I've targeted on my list so far. So that does it for my preview of the July 2024 Nashville National, to be held July 5th through 7th at the Nashville Fairgrounds. I look forward to going to the show this Friday, trying to find some of the cards on my want list that I've shared with y'all. I hope some of you can attend as well. But fear not, if you can't attend this National, there's another one coming up, I believe in October of this year, at the same location, so all the logistics and so forth will remain basically the same. Again, 600 plus tables. It's a great show, probably the best show in Tennessee. So if you live anywhere in Tennessee, Kentucky, North Alabama, I think it's worthwhile to go check out if you have a few hours free. I think it's a great show, well run, a lot of good dealers, a lot of good vintage, some pre-war, and plenty of modern cards if that's your thing. If you're going to be attending, feel free to leave a comment. If you have a game plan that you use for going to shows, whether it's this Nashville National or any other show, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll try to get some more videos out here in the coming days and weeks. Hopefully I'll even give you a short little video from the Nashville National while I'm there on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching.